Hi, folks. So we're here for video lecture 9. We are coming up on the end of module 3, which is it's our halfway point at the end of module 3. So we're coming up on midterm exam as well. I wanted to remind you of some study tips. If you end up having questions about how to study, or just want to move in the right direction, please never hesitate to reach out to your instructor or myself. We'll be more than happy to help you there. So a few of my tips is I want you to make sure you're starting now. You cannot cram at the last minute. That it just doesn't work out that way for mathematics specifically, but I don't think it works out in general. So just start now, start small. As we go through module 3 is a really high leverage space where a lot of this stuff is going to come up on the midterm. So making sure that you are starting now with module 3 to ensure that you're prepped for that midterm exam. Additionally, I really hope that you find someone to help with accountability. So, find that study partner, whether it be from this class that you're in, the specific section, so you get to sit beside them, or if it's someone, living around you or whatever. I hope that you work to make connections to the material, not just memorizing it. So for example, we talked about the various different types of slopes that you can have in video lecture 7. I want you to make sure that you're making connections with those, because those then kind of lead into making sure that our equations are correct, or being able to write equations for horizontal and vertical lines, which we'll get to in this video lecture, okay? Furthermore, you should verbalize your understanding. You know, being able to say something out loud just deepens someone's understanding and demonstrates that you really understand something. And if you've got that person beside you with accountability, right, you can kind of bounce these ideas back and forth. So making sure that you really are able to get at that. And then lastly, please set a specific schedule that has calculated breaks within it. Okay. Study for an hour, go for a walk, come back to it, do another 30 minutes, watch a TV show, right? Like, build stuff in for yourself, but also make sure that you're holding yourself accountable to that schedule. Okay. All right. So for video lecture 9, the first thing that we're going to talk about is this whole video lecture, all of these videos within this one is about, we're going to be writing equations for lines. Okay. So previously we were given some equations. Now we're going to have the ability to write them, or develop the ability to write them. All right. To start, what we have to remember is there's one particular format for an equation where, like, we love it being presented in that way. Also, in ALEKS, it's going to tell you what form it wants it in. Okay, so slope-intercept form, I don't know that you'll never be asked to write something that's not in slope-intercept form, but in general, we want to write equations in slope-intercept form. That's what we're going to use in this class. Okay, so we are going to work to write our equations in the form of y equals mx plus b, where m is that slope and b is that y-intercept. Now, there are questions in your homework where it's going to straight out tell you, hey, here's a slope, here's a y-intercept. Can you write me an equation for it? Great. You're able to probably plug that information in and write yourself an equation. I'm not covering that here. We're going to take it a step further. Okay. So the type we're going to work on in this specific video is if you are given a slope and a point, and that point is not the y-intercept. Okay. So the first one that we're going to talk about here is you are going to be given a slope of negative 2/3, and the point is -9, -7, right? We are going to attempt to write equation of a line in slope-intercept form given that slope and given that point. So the line's passing through that point. In your notes, make sure you're taking advantage of sections 2 and 3 to write down some of these big ideas and these processes that we're talking about here, okay? So first of all, we know what we want our equation to look like, where M and B are the things to fill in, right? Like, at the end of the day, a successful equation has M, slope, filled in, and B, y-intercept, filled in. That's a successful equation. We're already given one of those, right? We're already given that the m of our equation is negative 2/3. So we already know half of our answer. Our equation should look like y equals negative 2/3 x. We just don't know this b part, right? We don't know where the y-intercept is. This is not a y-intercept because the x value is not 0. So we have to figure out what to do with this point. And to understand what we should do with this point, you have to understand what that point represents. That point represents an x, y pairing that is on this line. It represents a specific x and y that works, okay? So what we're gonna be able to do is, if I substitute this x and this y that we've been given, we've now eliminated all the variables except for the one we want to solve for, the b. So we're going to input m, we're going to input x, we're going to input y, because those are the three things that we were given. We were given an m, an x, and a y. Okay? If you need to, pause the video, get that written down, right? We are given an m, an x, and a y. That's what we're able to input. We can solve for b now. We'll write a successful equation. So working that out, right? We want y equals mx plus b. We're going to fill in the three pieces we were given. So we were given a -7. We were given a negative 2/3. We were given a -9. We were not given a b. All right. So now we just need to, simplify things, evaluate what we can, solve for b, get b by itself. All right. So we've got a multiplication here in the middle. We've got negative 2/3 times -9. So negative times a negative means it's going to come out to be positive. We've multiplied fractions before, right? 9 times 2 is 18, and 3 on the bottom, 3 times 1. So we're going to have 18 over 3. 18 divided by 3 is just 6. Pretty cool. Finish it out. Let's get b by itself. Subtract 6 from both sides. We get that b equals -13. Okay? So the prompts to write a successful equation. Our successful equation will be in the form y equals mx plus b, where m and b are filled in. So our m was negative 2/3, and our b was -13. That right there is our successful equation. Okay. Let's go ahead and try another. Write down any questions that you have, see if they get answered here. This one, we're going to go with a slope of 5/2, and we're going to go with the point 81. If you'd like, pause, try this out, then come back. But again, right, we want the form to be y equals mx plus b. M and b need to be filled in at the end. Okay, that's what our successful equation looks like. We were given an m and an x and a y point. This point is not our y-intercept. We wish it was. We'd just be done. Okay. But what we'll be able to do is we can fill in our three variables with values, solve for our fourth variable. We'll know everything at that point, okay? So now our y value they gave us is a 1. We got 5/2. Our x was an 8. We do not know our b variable. Okay? All right, let's solve it out. So we got a 1. 8 times 5 divided by 2. So we get 20. Finish it out. Let's subtract. So we get b equals -19. Final answer, slope-intercept form with m and b filled in. This line is defined as a line with slope of 5/2 and a y-intercept of -19. All right, great job. I'll see you for the next one.